Welcome everyone to our session today, talking about the grand new reopening of Birdwood Golf Course at Boar's Head Resort. We have a very distinguished panel. My name is Jerry Ratcliffe with jerryrackliffe.com, longtime sports writer in Charlottesville, and now onward to introducing our distinguished panel, as I mentioned, with Martin Winters, the longtime PGA Director of Golf at Birdwood. UVA women's golf coach Rhea Scott, done an excellent job with that program, as has Bowen Sargent, the men's coach at UVA. And last but not least is Davis Love III, who really needs no introduction, member of the World Golf Hall of Fame and victorious captain of the last Ryder Cup that we're all proud of, and the designer, he and his company, of the new Birdwood. So let's get started. First of all, what attracted you to this project? We know that you were the golf designer by choice of Bill Goodwin and Bob Rotella for Birdwood back a few years ago. When I first talked to you about this job in 2017, you compared building this course for UVA golfers to sort of the university having built John Paul Jones Arena to attract the best basketball players in the country. Can you elaborate?
Well, first, yeah, it's great to have good connections and a lot of friends at UVA. Bob Rotella has been a friend to our family and a golf coach to me for well over 30 years. So Dr. Bob heard about the project. We had just finished a project at Sea Pines for the Goodwin family, so we had that connection as well. I was attracted to it mainly because of the piece of property. I've always loved coming to Charlottesville, to the University of Virginia, to work with Bob or to play golf. And I was excited to get the opportunity on a great piece of property. And I think that's what drove us as a group. You know, Martin, the whole UVA team, the golf coaches, and the Love Golf Design team worked together on this project, and I think it came out great.
When you first toured the old Birdwood course, Davis, what were your initial reactions and objectives?
Well, it had a lot of potential. And, to your first question, the coaches needed a recruiting tool. The players needed a place to improve their games and to hone their games and a place to learn to compete. So they not only needed a practice facility, they have an unbelievable building, a nice big long range. They needed it to grow the programs. To be a national championship contender, you have to have national championship type facilities. And now they have a golf course and a practice facility that's world class, that equals the football and the basketball and the other programs at UVA. And our goal was to make every constituency have what they needed. The short course, the practice, short game range, the golf course, all works together for the resort and for the golf teams.
What did you find appealing in terms of the setting for the course, and how did that change as you looked around the unused portion of the property? I think Martin was calling it the back 80, where several new holes now sit.
It's not really a renovation. It's a brand new golf course. Some holes are going in opposite direction in the same quarter. Some holes are new. Some holes are abandoned maybe for future development. So it was, let's just build the best golf course we can build with basically a blank sheet of paper that had a clubhouse in the middle of it. So the temptation is to just run off and spend a whole lot of money. So we tried to use as many holes as we could, not cut as few trees as possible. Just an unbelievable piece of land. There are some challenging places to get back and forth to the clubhouse. There were some lakes and some creeks and some ups and some downs. So we had to play around that a little bit. I think we have a couple challenging holes where you do have forced carries, but for the most part, for the average player from the forward tees, we simplified the golf course, wider fairways, more run-ups in front. From the back tees at par 71, it's a challenging golf course. The par threes can all play pretty long and tough, a couple long par fives. So I think it's going to be challenging for the back tees, and for the forward tees, I think it's actually going to be probably an easier golf course or a friendlier golf course.
What were some of the most important factors that you considered in the redesign?
Both the Boar's Head Resort and the Birdwood Mansion are the anchors of the property. We wanted to keep those holes that went around it, improve those holes. some of my favorite holes are the views looking away from the clubhouse or looking up towards the Birdwood mansion. So we tried to take out enough trees where you could see those incredible views, but we didn't want it to look modern. We wanted it to look classic and timeless and fit the property. I always want somebody to play at one of my golf courses and say, well, who built this? I don't want them to be able to say it's a cookie cutter Davis Love III golf course. We want it to fit the needs of the people that are going to play it and fit the property, and at UVA, honor the history of the mansion and of the university.
Davis is a great player and a good friend of Dr. Rotela's, and, having the knowledge that Dr. Rotela trusted him with this project, was really comforting to us. And I think he did an awesome job. I really do.
What are some of your favorite holes? You were talked about the ones surrounding Birdwood Mansion. Do you have any others, and what makes them your favorite?
I like number 10 just because I love the view. The closer you get to the clubhouse, obviously the high point, the views are just incredible. I do like number 2. I like the tee shot down the lake, and I like the over the creek. I love the par 3s, 13 back in the corner. There's a lot of great holes out there. Our architect, Scott Sherman, my brother, spent a lot of time there. We put a lot of thought into it. We had a great construction team with McCurrick Golf, who we've used over and over again. We worked very well with them, and the whole team, again, the coaches and the team at UVA all had input into the golf course. And we didn't make very many changes from the paper, but we got the best hole, I think, in every spot there's some places that we had to get over a hill or down a hill, but for the most part, I don't think there's a quote a bad hole, and I don't think there's a signature hole. But if you said, all right, pick one, I would say 10. Just make the turn, par 5 with a gorgeous view after you've stopped in the clubhouse for a snack. I think 10 is going to be a favorite of everybody.
Davis, have you been involved with many other university courses before?
Traveling, watching my son play at Alabama and seeing their sports facilities, I knew the recruiting tool that y'all needed. Your building, I think the Sea Island Performance Center might be nicer than your team building, but that's one of the nicest performance centers in the country, and only 20 or 30 people use it. It's an incredible place to play and practice, but it's a great recruiting tool. And you're way ahead of most people in the East with that. Now, hopefully the golf course is going to do that for you as well.
The par 5s appear to be to really feature a great risk reward. What was your intent in those designs?
We were trying to get some length for the golf course. The average guy is not going to play 600-yard par 5, but it gets you some length for the big hitters, the modern players. But yeah, you want some risk reward. You want the average guy to not have to carry stuff on every hole, but you want the expert players and the lower handicappers to feel like they're challenged. So I always say we designed for my mom, who just kind of bunted it down the middle, bounced everything up on the green, was hoping to get up and down for par on a lot of holes, and she didn't want to have to carry it 250 yards over and over again to get over trouble, or play short of it, and you force yourself into playing an extra shot just because the architect's making you play over things over and over again. If you go back, and Donald Ross and Seth Rayner and the classic architects gave you a variety of holes. So that's what we wanted. So some risk reward, some easy holes, some hard holes, some short holes, some long holes. The length of the par 5s, the risk reward, and then maybe a par 3 from the middle tees with an open front. It balances itself out to where there's some hard and some easy.
The par 3s on this course have great variety in length and features. Talk about your thoughts on those holes.
You like to have a fun short hole that everybody thinks, well, if I can just get on the green, I might make a birdie. And then you want to have a long hole where, wow, I got on the green today. That's a long, hard hole. I say it all the time now because I'm getting shorter. I drove the green on this 240-yard par 3. So having a variety is important, and having different looks. I think all the par 3s there all have different features and different looks. You got a rock wall on one hole, and you got a wide open front on 13. That 13 actually was supposed to have a bunker in the middle of the green, and it just didn't look right. We were trying to copy a little bit of Riviera in LA, and it just didn't work. And I think that green turned out great. Sits naturally down in the pine trees. So great variety of not only of length, but of types of holes.
I know you incorporated a lot of classic architectural features like number 5's a cape hole and number 9's a Barrett's. Could you speak to some of those?
I'm a huge fan of Seth Rayner, CB McDonald. I love those golf courses. I love the pattern holes. We've studied them a lot. Actually, the first hole they let me build on a bulldozer on a course we did for Sea Island was a Redan hole. I just like classic architecture. And, Pete Dye learned a lot from those old golf courses. He took it to another level. But if you look at his golf courses, Pete has a lot of very similar holes. They might have bunkers on one course and water on the next. But a lot of that is strategy. But there's no reason to leave the Masters work. CB McDonald had Seth Rayner build some of the best golf courses that are still stand the test of time. So that's what we wanted for UVA. We wanted people to say, oh, I saw this at this classic golf course before. I get it. And we're leaning towards classic rather than modern architecture.
Davis, what role did the surrounding Blue Ridge Mountains, how did that influence your layout?
2 or 3 trees on this project that we argued over. Should it go down? Should it stay? Should we play left of it? Should we play right of it? And that's all based on the views of the mountains, trying to create those long range views or set a hole up where it was looking in the proper direction. The golf course looks hugely wide open because of the space. So you're going to have to really, the Tiger Woods line, you're going to have to find your lines on this golf course and understand where you have to. The first time around, you might hit it over a hill in the wrong place, but you're going to have to find your lines. There's a few blind shots. And we just took advantage of a gorgeous view and a gorgeous piece of property.
But I think what was really fascinating to me was how Davis and Mark and Scott used the terrains on the putting green to match the surrounding Blue Ridge Mountains. I thought that was so clever. And, people can actually see that when you set up on the back patio at the clubhouse, you can look at that and, it's going to be really fun.
So a putting course is not a new thing, but it's a bigger trend now. At the Sea Island Resort, at the Pinehurst Resort, it is literally one of the most used facilities at a club. I remember playing in the Phoenix Open and driving up to Desert Mountain and putting on their putting course because it was the new thing to do. And so it's a fun way for kids, for families, for after golf, for a match. The golf team, they're going to have a blast up there. You probably have to run them back to class. Because I was against it at Sea Island, literally, because I didn't think we needed it. And it was probably one of the silliest things I ever said, because it is more fun. I take my granddaughters out there to play, and it's going to be a big hit at the resort and at the club. The par 3 course is going to be the same thing. You see so many clubs that they have room, they're putting in a par 3 course or a short course. Great place to go play real quick. Great place to work on your wedge and your short iron game. For the golf teams, they can play that and back up into their, 6-acre practice facility.
As coaches, what do you guys like best about the new Birdwood, and how is this going to help your golf programs advance?
Well, I had the ability to walk around the golf course 2 or 3 weeks ago, and one of the things that really fascinated me about the design was, how they incorporated so much more water, especially into some of the par 3s. Also, I think, some of the higher vistas that enable you to see some of the Blue Ridge Mountains. I think when we're showing prospects around, it's really going to lend itself to for them to see that and see that what Davis has put into this project. I think he put a lot of thought into it. Obviously, the golf course is really good. I think it'll be able to host a regional or a national championship, and I think it'll draw and attract a lot of the best players in the country.
Absolutely. Some of the same things that Bowen mentioned with the views of the Blue Ridge, the work that they did really opened up some of those views and vistas, as he mentioned. But from our side, we love the variety in the sets of tees. The 6 sets of tees will be really key for our team. We really like to mix them around on the golf course. When we're preparing for our next event, we're trying to simulate approach yardages that they might have at the upcoming events. So that is one thing that we're really looking forward to. So different views, different approach yardages. I think that's exciting for the women's squad.
Talk a little bit about the transformation of your 2 golf programs, and along with this project, the new short game facility and the Dean Performance Center, and how that all wraps up into a huge bonus for both of your programs.
Well, when I came here 16 years ago, we sat down and identified 4 things that we felt like, from a facility standpoint, that we really needed. And I think all of those have been answered here in this project. Obviously, you know, our short game area, we've built a new one. The driving range has certainly been improved. The building was kind of the third piece of that project. And then finally, which I didn't think would ever happen, would be a new golf course. So, you know, we've been given the tools now to recruit and attract some of the best players in the country. And I'm expecting that, you know, much like kind of what happened when we built the short game area back in, I think it was 2007, you know, we made a nice run right after that for about 4 or 5 years. And I'm expecting kind of the same result here as you know, this project becomes available to our recruits, and if they can see the new golf course and the new building, it's certainly going to attract them. I can't imagine any kid in the country not wanting to take a look at what we have here and what we have to offer, and how it can develop, you know, their games, because I think we can do that here.
I think this really speaks to the fact that we have an athletics department willing to improve and evolve. You know, when Birdwood was built in the early 80s, that was pretty cutting edge at the time. And then when the Emig short game facility came about in that mid 2000s range that Bowen was speaking of, that in itself was cutting edge. So here we are, we're an athletics department that's continuing to evolve, not just in golf facilities, but I mean, look at that master plan. Look at the tennis complex going in at Boar's Head. Just the evolution of our facilities is it's in line with the athletic expectations and performance of our department. So I think it's really an exciting time for our programs. You can see that our recruits are excited about it as well. We've got, you know, 3 top 10 recruits coming to our program here in the next couple of years. So like Bowen said, there's a lot of recruits that have interest in UVA because of the facilities we're able to offer and the academic experience we're able to offer as well.
How cool and how impressive was it to have someone of Davis Love's stature become involved in the redesign of this golf course?
You know, I think he resonates with a lot of the recruits and the younger guys that are out there. He's, you know, still a factor in tournaments and PGA Tour events. And, you know, when you say Davis Love, these young guys, they still know who he is. And then I think if you look at some of the projects that he's done, you know, he's obviously built a name for himself, and it's wonderful that we were able to get him for this project. Certainly Dr. Rotella made a strong pitch in getting him. For us, it's a win. I think he's an up-and-coming architect, and I think when you look back on it 50 years from now, I think he'll go down as one of the greater architects of this generation.
When you hear the name Davis Love, you think of a player, somebody whose family is invested in the game. He is going to do everything from a player perspective in addition to a golf course architect perspective. So I think players that come here will know that he's been in their shoes and trying to improve. He's been a college golfer. I mean, he's a phenomenal professional golfer. Like Bowen said, Hall of Fame member, has built some incredible projects as of late. But I think the players that come play Birdwood, as well as the student athletes, will know that it was designed with the player in mind.
Okay, well, that will wrap up our session on the new Birdwood golf course. Waiting for all the golfers out there in Central Virginia to invade sometime this summer. Thank everybody for participating today, particularly Davis Love III, who generously gave up some of his time to be with us, and with you, Martin, Director of Golf at PGA Director of Golf at Birdwood, and UVA's excellent golf coaches, Rhea Scott and Bowen Sargent. Thank you guys so much for your time, and that'll be a wrap.